Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey, local business hackers. I'm your host, head of business development for Referrizer, Carl Case, joined today by Stephanie Bradley from Stephanie Breaux Bradley Consultants. Stephanie, welcome to Local Business Hacks.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. And just to start at the beginning, the maiden name is Breaux, B-R-E-A-U-X, which signifies the Cajun land of Southwest Louisiana that I'm from.
And where you founded your organization.
Exactly.
Which brings me to my first question that I always ask is, who are you and how did you get to where you are? Tell me this amazing story about yourself.
We all think it's so amazing when we're talking about ourselves, right? So I'll keep it kind of short and to the point because I think a lot of women especially could probably relate on this journey. I started off with my corporate career in finance in Chicago and was finding my groove. Like it was fun competing with this male-dominated industry. And my firstborn was born right after 9/11, which we all know kind of changed the trajectory of what that looked like. And I found myself in a position where I didn't want to be a mom half-ass and I didn't want to do my job half-ass. So I decided to take a step back and found myself with a newborn in the middle of a Chicago winter going, what the hell did I just do? So in quintessential format for me, I dove into let's have another kid and let me get involved in the PTA and fell into this martyrdomness of aggravation for everybody else when I myself put myself in that position. So I took a beat and went to an exercise class and ended the class in tears because I was like, oh my God, this is what it's like to focus on yourself again. Like, where has she been? And in that moment, exactly. We have all had that moment. Because you have to find the modalities and the people that speak to you, right? Like I've been to classes before that I loved, was not my community. So I decided this makes sense. I have the financial background. I'm going to move back home. I've been wanting to do that because I decided that the marriage wasn't for me anymore. So I wanted to move back home and I wanted to create something where I could be more than just a mom to fill my cup. And I decided to become a franchisee for a bar studio, going into it thinking that they're going to help me not make 8 out of the 10 business mistakes that small business owners make because they've been down that path. And what I realized is it's harder said than done, right? So I'm getting into my groove and I'm figuring things out. I'm kind of like a bull in a china shop in a couple things. And I'm in year 3.5 and things are moving along, proceeding forward with a divorce, and I get diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'm like, wait a minute. So something had to give. So I was put in a position to make some difficult decisions and I wasn't really ready to let the studio go, but I realized that I had to steer my focus in other directions. And I was able to sell my business in 3 days and it turned out to be 6 months before COVID. So there's a reason. Exactly. There's a reason. From that point, I had someone who was a student at my studio who was then venturing off to open up a studio a couple of towns away. And she says, you know what? Can you teach me everything you know? And I was dumbfounded because I had been so beaten up by the health issues and all the stuff that I was like, I can't believe you think I know anything. So we're now in COVID. I needed some structure. Me and HGTV can only go so far. Otherwise, I was going to start doing some of those projects on my own, which would not be a good idea. And I fell into the Mind Body Consulting program because it gave me some structure and I felt like it gave me some street cred. And I met the most amazing group of people who were on the same journey with me. And all of these fellow consultants were all there to kind of lift up the industry and to support each other. And it's been such a really cool journey thus far. Because you don't know what you don't know. So you need to ask a lot of questions.
Congratulations on turning turmoil into success. Fast forward today for people that haven't worked with a mind body consultant. What do you do and who do you do it for?
So I say mind body consultant because that's where I got the street cred, right? That's where I formed it. But I do not work for mind body. So all of my clients have their own tech stack, point of sale systems, and I don't judge just what you use on if I work with you or not. When I work with clients, we have some consultants that are very transactional because that's like their forte. Like they found their forte that they're really good at, and they're going to work with you to get that going. And then you're going to move on. I have found myself, and I struggled with this because it was different from other people. Like, I want to get ingrained. Like, I want to know what you're doing, why you're doing it. Like, because to me, everything kind of bleeds into each other. So if I were to put myself in a category, I feel like I'm kind of partner slash board of directors kind of thing, because I have found through this journey that as studio owners, and even any entrepreneur that owns their own small business, it's really hard to get out of the emotional aspects of things when you need to make a business decision. And you don't always see it that way when you're in it. And so there's been a lot of mentoring. There's been a lot of soundboarding. There's been a lot of, especially after COVID, you can sit in what this happened for a minute, but there comes a point when you have to like get up and move on. You know, like COVID devastated a lot of businesses, but it didn't just happen to one person. It was something that we collectively all did. So what can we do to move forward? Through the process, which I hope people find this as funny as I do, I was told like, it's really important that you find your niche. And so I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, well, I don't want to work with anybody who's stupid or sensitive. And they're like, no, I don't mean that, Stephanie. And by that, I just mean the process is always easier when you have someone who is motivated, who wants to learn and who wants to do better. And so my niche has become what growing your business looks like. And here's what I mean by that. I have a lot of people who have found what works. They've created their special recipe, and they're now ready to either open up another location that they own, think about franchising what that would look like, or consider licensing. And my goal through all that is I like to think outside the box, right? So a legal agreement is just a contract for two people that agree on something, right? So how can you create that to manifest what you have and what you want and grow it? And obviously that comes from being a franchisee myself. So I find it very personal to help people who are thinking about growing really make sure they have their processes nice and tight. Because if your franchisee is not doing well, that reflects on your brand. If they are doing well, that reflects on your brand and also your pocketbook, right? So, and here's the deal. I've met with a lot of people who thought they were ready to grow. And we go through it all like, let's reevaluate your pricing. Let's make sure, like I said, all of things are nice and tight. And at the end of it, they've decided, you know what, it's not for me.
You saved them a lot of money and time.
But not only time and money, when you think about it, the worst thing that happened was, you now have your shit together so you can take a weekend away. You might be able to actually take a vacation, and or when you figure out your exit strategy, which you should always do at the beginning, you now have everything to present over to a buyer to then increase the value of what you are selling, not to mention setting them up for success. And that's the worst thing that happens from the process.
I love that. So overall business strategist and can help with different levels of business depending on where you are.
Yes, but I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in all areas, which is why I hinted on like this group of consultants and networking that they have. Everyone is just very generous of, you know what, I don't know the answer, but I have someone who could really help you. Let me connect you.
Love that.
And I think it's important to come from that viewpoint, because having other like-minded people to bounce ideas off of opens up other ideas. Someone could say something and you're like, you know what, I didn't think about it that way.
Of course.
And I always find the growth part of those aha moments to be really cool aspect of the job that you do. Because as a consultant, I feel like you're there to support and guide, but the studio owner is still leading the way. It's their vision. It's their dream.
Congratulations, Stephanie. It's incredible that you've been able to make an impact on these businesses at so many different levels. And obviously, that's a testament to this being your full-time gig, is helping people with this aspect of their business. So it's amazing. Transitioning a little bit onto my favorite topic, which is referrals. How do you coach your clients through referrals and maybe implementing a loyalty platform in order to do that, or talk to people about and coach them through the best ways to maximize referrals and loyalty inside of their business?
I think, first of all, which is something that I knew in my head, but a lot of my clients we've been working on have found success. And bear with me as I walk you through this, is I automatically feel more empowered when I have like my organized stuff together. So working on like a marketing and event calendar, for lack of a better word, and trying to figure out how your business is going to support, I've kind of narrowed it down to 4 buckets, but you can create as many buckets as you want. How do you attract new clients? What events, promotions, challenges can you have that focus on that? How do you attract or retain existing members? What do you do to support your community? And my favorite, because I personally found it the most challenging of owning a business, how do you support your staff? How do you manage the personalities? And the reason why I start off with that is because if you have it together and you have what it looks like for upcoming events, it does a couple of things. It lets you plan ahead, because how many of us have come up with an idea? I remember being in my studio, it's May 2nd, and I'm like, oh my God, I should probably really do something for Mother's Day. So what did I do? I slapped something together in an email. I put it on social media. And then I was like, well, that didn't work. That failed. We're never doing it again. I did not plan ahead. I did not execute it correctly. Because I find when it comes to referrals, the best people are your current members, because it's like a natural public relations for you, right? Like if I were to tell you, oh my God, you need to come to my studio, I'm the best, yada, 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 yada. Someone else speaks on my behalf and says, I found this really great place, it's a great community, we have great classes. And so to have all of those things planned ahead gives those people that want to speak on your behalf information to give. I am very grassroots, from a Southern town. Everybody knows everybody. You're related to most of those people. That could be a whole nother podcast in itself. But one of the best things that I was working with a client on, and I was like, you know what, take the next couple of weeks and sit at the front desk and just listen to, as people are leaving class, where are they going? Where they're going to get coffee, where they're going to grab lunch, where they're going boutique shopping, where they're dropping off their kids. And those are where your like-minded businesses are. So when we did this exercise, apparently there was a new coffee shop that was local. And so we approached the coffee shop and asked them if they were willing to collaborate. And we had a QR code put on a coffee sleeve that they were going to put for a certain amount of time, that the QR code can take you either to a free class or a discounted class. But it created this relationship, right? And as you build on it, now this local business is now the first one that comes to mind if she has, let's just say, an open house where she needed some coffee donated, or you want to do a retreat and you want to have sponsors. I will tell you, the most important thing after planning ahead is making sure you have a way to track the success or non-success of what you did, so you can go back and tweak and brain dump.
Yeah, those are 2 amazing tips. I think that going back to tracking, what's not tracked is not, what's not measured
Exactly.
is not improved. And
which is why then you need a tech partner like a Referrizer to go back and look and say, okay, I brought in this amount. What if I tweaked it a little bit? Maybe I planned a little earlier, and let me set my goal here for next time, because I know that I can get there, type of thing.
I love that, for sure. So transitioning a little bit onto the importance of a loyalty program, how have you coached your clients through implementing a loyalty program? And what are some things that you've seen pre and post? And just let's dive into that.
Pre and post. I mean, I'll tell you one thing as a studio owner, referral programs were always something that I wanted to do. What I always struggled with the point of sale system that I was in, was there was no easy way to do it, to organize it, which made me just put my hands up. Like I didn't need any more work when it came to that. So I think by finding a way whether it's through a tech partner or whatever you decide to do, like we said, to monitor it, to manage it, to track it. Because with anything, you can't just get your message out once, one way, right? Like you need to be able to, when I owned my studio, not only did we have emails and not only did we have phone calls, we had a handwritten note card. Southern women love to receive mail. And that gave you the opportunity to personalize it, right? And another thing that we've always done was in whatever your sales process is, don't be afraid to ask for the referral. Don't be afraid to ask for the Google review. Yes, don't be afraid. What's the worst that's going to happen?
It's business as it normally is. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to coach. I offer conversion trainings to our corporate clients on how to properly answer a phone call. And it's funny how if I tell them in the beginning, if there's only one thing that you get out of this today, only one, it's when you're talking to somebody, no matter who they are or what stage they're in, ask for a referral. And then it typically takes about the 10th person in role playing for them to finally ask the referral. And they all wait at the end, like, how did I do? How did I do? And I'm like, well, you forgot the most important thing. And they're like, oh my goodness. But yes, I preach that all the time.
And I think one of the things to overcome, though, is to have the person asking for the referral put it in a way that makes sense to them or is authentic to them type of thing. Like I know with the clients that I use, we just changed the word sales to public relations, and it's a different ballgame. Like you're just talking about what you know. You're just giving information because I feel like people are looking for clarity and direction, and they just want to know what the rules of the game are, so I decide if I want to play or not type of thing.
And expectations.
Yes. And I also feel, which might not be popular, one of my clients, basically we worked with, you know how you have those people that come to one class and then you never see them again. Mm-hmm. We crafted an email and go, why didn't you like me? Now, it was a little bit, it was softer than that, but it was basically a way to find out, is there an issue that I'm not aware of that I can fix? Because how many times do you go to a class and maybe you didn't have your expectations met, or the person who was teaching, you didn't know it, but it was their very first class that they've ever taught type of thing. It was an off day. The sound system didn't work. The Wi-Fi went down kind of thing. And for you to ask someone personally, what is it was going on for you, helps to create that connection, because that tells me you're interested in me, not just the sale, right? And it's all about, people just want to be heard. They just want to be heard.
Of course.
And let's be honest, intimidation is a huge thing in this industry. Like walking into a new place with people that you think they all know what they're doing and I don't. Ooh, this is a good one. I saw this one on a video. You ready for this one, Carl?
I'm ready.
This woman, for her studio, because she had so many questions, people were asking like, why don't you offer a free class? Why don't you offer a free class? She finally got her iPhone out in a very authentic grassroots way, sat in the middle of her studio room and said, I'm going to tell you why I don't give you a first class free. Here's why. This is a heated yoga class. And the first time you come, it's going to suck. And the second time come, it's still going to suck. And the third time, things are going to click in. So I was like, oh my God, I need to have drinks with this woman because she's setting my expectations so I know ahead of time. She was like, you're going to want to come the first time and just get used to the heat. Just get used to the heat. The second time you come, you might need to just focus on the cues because we're speaking a little differently, right? Like if you're not someone who's body conscious, and the third time things are going to start to click. Because I'm telling you, all of those other people that are in the class that you feel like know what they're doing, they're not at all focused on you. They're focused on themselves, and the same questions that you have in your head, they have also. I promise you. I promise you. But bringing that human authenticness to the table helps with asking for a referral. They feel more comfortable with you, and the way that you word it so that it doesn't feel, like I said, salesy. It's like, listen, I'm trying to better my business, and by getting information from you is great. And then I get to that information to see, is this aligned with what I want to do, or am I just not the place for that person?
No, that's amazing. Stephanie, you brought up a really interesting point, and it's the term offer. I think in our world that an offer could be the most important make or break decision of a business.
Mhm.
Do you mind shedding some light on some offers that you've seen that are dangerous for businesses in some points, and then maybe the best offers that you've implemented in your studios?
This is a good one. And I don't know if you're going to like me for this, but I don't really think there's a bad offer if it comes with a good follow-up sales process, because how are you going to test what that is? But getting back to the planning the calendar, is having an unlimited offer in the month of December a good idea?
No.
I would say no, simply because people are going to want to make sure they get their value for what it is. And they're like, okay, well, I have Thanksgiving and then I need to prepare for Christmas, that type of thing. So I think monitoring your numbers as far as which months are good, which months dip down, will help you with that also. I think you need to play around with some of it while still having something stable in the back. Keeping in mind that you have two types of buyers. You have the people that are like, oh my God, I want the best deal. I'm looking at the bottom price. What is the most I can get for the least amount of money? Those are your unlimited people. And you have the other buyer who's like, I'm only committing to my hairdresser and my husband. I'm not committing to anybody else. So I want to know exactly what I'm getting for my money. So I'm always going to be a package person. So my advice would be, if you could have two intro offers, one that speaks to the unlimited buyer, one that speaks to the person who either wants to see the value or they like to do a whole different type of workout someplace else, and this is something added in. And then you monitor those with your sales process to see the success. And that opens it up for promotions. Because as we know, especially in California, they're very stringent about what things can look like. With a promo, you can create what that looks like, type of thing. And it's a play around with it. Another tidbit that I'll give you as far as the sales process, always important to do those "we miss you" emails that go out for people that haven't been in for a while. Stretch them out and play around with a different offer in each of them to see what it is that speaks to people. So you always have to monitor it. I would shy away from free as a all the time offer. If you're having like an open house, or if you're having a resurgence because you're rebranding and you want to offer some community classes, you can always have like the first Friday of every month noon class is a community class. Come and join us for a complimentary look at what we offer. Making sure that at that class, you have a nice and tight sales process and an upsell. That's something that they can't leave the doors without taking advantage of.
Very well said.
You were worried I couldn't talk for days.
I love that answer, and it packs a lot of value to everybody, because I think that there is no one size fits all offer.
There
And
isn't.
we have clients that have successfully ran free IV offers, but they do have a super tight sales funnel. I remember Jamie closing 85 out of the first 100 leads of her business into memberships by offering a free IV. And you got to get, it's impressive numbers, but you got to follow up.
I think it's all about also like creating the value. Like we all know with what COVID happened and inflation and everything else, and a lot of studios in a position where they need to raise their prices in order to accommodate for their expenses going up. So instead of thinking about lowering your prices, think about increasing the value to what that membership is. Maybe there are more perks that are involved, and one of them could come with a guest pass where someone could bring in a free person and that's their referral type of thing. I think like going back to clarity and setting the expectations of what things look like, people appreciate that. You know, like I want transparency. Just tell me what it is and then I'll make my decisions.
Of course. Stephanie, I got time for you to share a story.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go and run with it. For in the last couple of years that you've been doing this, take the floor.
So this is going to be interesting, and I'm going to try not to get emotional about it. But here in the South, we invest a lot of time and energy and money in our young athletes. We won't get into the whole football thing because Carl is an Alabama fan. I'm an LSU Ole Miss fan. But obviously the SEC speaks for itself. And these kids are really driven, right? So one of my friends, her daughter is in a top tier dance competition team who is going to represent the US at, and she's like, you always say such great things at the end of class. Can you do a meditation? I lost myself laughing at this because as you can tell from talking to me, I am the least calm person that you have ever met for me to bring 16, 17-year-olds to calm down. But she was very insistent, so I gave it a shot. And it was amazing what happens when you make yourself present in a room. And I talked to these 17, 16-year-olds, because I myself have a 19-year-old daughter, but of course she doesn't think that anything I say has any merit. And it amazed me that when you're present, to allow yourself to see things that other people see and get vulnerable. Get vulnerable in that and give them the gift of being present, because that's all that they really need and they want. Surprise the hell out of myself. So today I'm teaching a class. I still teach degree classes because I feel like as a consultant, it's important to be in the mix. The same woman was like, can you do a meditation for us? And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. Now, of course, the music didn't work correctly, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, let me just kind of talk. And in that room, every one of them stayed because they needed something. And without realizing that, I just ingrained these people that were in this class to me and the community in which I teach even more. Because if you don't hear anything from this podcast here that is really easy for people to leave a class or a studio or a format, it is really hard for them to leave a community, especially right now. Especially right now. So be authentic to what your community looks like, and you will attract the people that are supposed to be within it. And then get rid of all the other people. I'm joking.
And for people that need help doing that, Stephanie Breaux Bradley Consulting.
Bradley. Yes. You can find me on LinkedIn. The best place is my website. It's simply Breaux Bradley Consulting, Breaux Bradley Consulting. And that will have a link to, I give a free 30-minute coffee and conversation. If you want it to be Bloody Mary or whiskey, totally on board with whatever that looks like. Because the bottom line is in the conversation, I just want to know about you. I want to know about what your vision is, what your dreams are, because let's be honest, everybody works differently. Everybody organizes things differently. So yeah, this has been fun.
I'm so glad, Stephanie, for myself and our listeners all over this beautiful planet. Thanks for being you and sharing these incredible, really valuable stories with us.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's time for us to elevate the wellness community and provide what we do, but also get paid for doing it.
Amen. See you soon on another episode, Stephanie. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.